I want you to blink. Now I want you to wave. Now smile. Would you believe me if I told you that those slight movements required communication among some of the 86 billion neurons in your body? They're constantly communicating, sending messages to each other to allow for all these functions to occur. It's like a long game of telephone, only scientific, so better. But what is a neuron and how does it work? I'll explain. Imagine your brain and body as a busy city, and neurons, also known as nerve cells, as a sort of electrical and chemical cables that connect, that give your city the information and the power to perform its bodily functions, like moving or performing reflexes or digesting food. Neurons are one of the two types of cells that make up our nervous system, the other being glial cells. Neurons are specifically responsible for collecting, transmitting, and processing electrical and chemical signals. Nerves can typically be categorized in three groups: sensory, motor, and mixed. Sensory nerves carry signals from our nose, ears, eyes, and mouth, basically 4/5 of our senses, and takes them to the central nervous system. Motor nerves take signals from our central nervous system and transport it to our muscles and our glands so the response can be made. Mixed nerves are nerves that perform both sensory and motor functions, and they can be split into two groups. First, cranial. Cranial nerves consist of 12 pairings that can be found in your head, face, neck, and brain. They help perform functions like making facial expressions or smelling and tasting. Second is spinal nerves. These nerves can be found in the spinal cord and all throughout your body. They perform functions like letting you perform involuntary reflexes. Imagine your city having different types of electrical cables that power different parts of the city or produces different types of energies throughout the city. Neurons are like that, and they have a very interesting structure with each part performing its own important role. Let me introduce them. First, we have the neuron's nucleus, also known as power source, which can be found in the soma or the cell body. The soma extends out with long tree branches that form the dendrites. These dendrites are the sites in which neuron signals are received by the following neuron. When the neuron signals are received, they travel down the extension of the soma, known as the axon. Sometimes axons are covered in what is known as a myelin sheath, which is a fatty substance that acts as insulation that allows for signals to travel through the axon faster. Right at the end of the axon and the nerve is what is known as terminal buttons. These terminal buttons contain synthetic vesicles that contain neurotransmitters, or the terminals release the neurotransmitters into the synapse, the space between the two neurons, in which the neurotransmitter is able to move to bind at the receptors of the dendrites of the adjacent neuron, and there communication occurs. And now your body has the ability to blink, wave, and smile.